I'm Rob Thomas, editor-in-chief of Club and Resort Business, and welcome to another episode of the Club and Resort Talks podcast. On today's podcast, we got Matt Welter, founder of Dormy House. Dormy House creates quality, affordable housing for club and resort employees, especially those in rural areas. Think of Bandon, for example. He's doing a lot of work with the Kaiser family up in Oregon, but really across the country. Uh, Clubs that are kind of out of the way, but not a lot of housing, and the housing that is there is quite often, I don't know, million, $2 million, basically out of reach for club and resort employees. So he's got a solution for that at Dormy House. So very, very interesting conversation with Matt. But before we get to Matt, let me tell you that today's podcast is sponsored by Southern Pride Distributing. For food service in clubs and resorts, success is often attributed to investing in the right employees and equipment. Having dependable equipment that can consistently deliver high quality product is paramount for running a kitchen. The dependability of Southern Pride Smokers offers peace of mind for decades of profitability. Learn more at southernpride.com. Uh, Told you about Matt. Told you about our sponsor. Thank you, Southern Pride. Let's get to the most recent news. If you watch my Thursday 3 on LinkedIn website or YouTube channel, you know that what happened yesterday, but today's a new day. So let me start by kicking off with some news out of Saddlebrook Resort. Saddlebrook Resort in Pasco County, Florida, is set for a sweeping transformation thanks to a $72.5 million loan secured by its developers, Mast Capital and Amzak Capital Management. The loan was provided by Beach Point Capital Management to fund a portion of the $92 million redevelopment of the 480-acre Wesley Chapel property, which Mast Capital purchased in 2022. The redevelopment plan will encompass a complete redesign of the resort's guest rooms, suites, lobby, meeting spaces, pool, and outdoor areas, golf courses, and food and beverage facilities. Additional upgrades include significant enhancements to the resort's landscaping, sports facilities, and lifestyle amenities. Man, a lot's going on there. We just reported the other day about them opening up their new 13.5-acre practice facility. So check that out on clubandresortbusiness.com. That was the first step of this $92 million renovation, reimagining of the property, really. To me, a lot going on there. And I understand that a couple of years ago, it had fallen off its standard. So they are not only going to bring it back up to the standard, but excel. Fingers are crossed down there in Florida. In Texas, Meadowbrook Golf Course in Lubbock, Texas, is preparing for a new chapter in its nearly century-long history. Established in the 1930s, the course has been a cornerstone of the local golfing community. Now under new management of Orion Golf, Meadowbrook is set to receive comprehensive upgrades aimed at revitalizing its facilities and programs. The new management plans to enhance the course's playability, amenities, and overall accessibility for the Lubbock community. Improvements will include a new kitchen equipment and expanded food menu, clubhouse renovations, and the introduction of golf leagues and clinics. These upgrades are designed to create a consistent, high-quality experience that caters to a broad range of golfers and visitors. A lot going on in West Texas, right? So the new management group is really investing in the overall experience. I believe the course is shutting down the day after Christmas and will reopen sometime in February. So look forward to seeing what's going on there in West Texas. I know there's a lot of red feather also out there in West Texas, brand new high-end membership only club. So golfers in West Texas are being spoiled right now. Good for them. They're due. Last but not least, in the news, Bobby Jones Links is now managing two well-known daily fee courses in the Detroit, Michigan area, Sugar Bush Golf Club and the Captain's Golf Club and Event Center, operated by private ownership. Sorry, the sister courses, Sugar Bush and the Captain's Club, have become popular community attractions in their respective enclaves within Michigan's Genesee County. Both courses have thriving junior golf programs, and event calendars have become beloved destinations for golfers, restaurant patrons, and the community overall. So, new blood being pumped in there. I'm sure they have a lot of best practices they can share. Bobby Jones Links is top notch, obviously. Have a ton of properties that they manage. So good on them. And Michigan is going to benefit. Those two courses are going to benefit in the Detroit area, and that's not too far from me. So hopefully I can get up there at some point and experience the updated golf courses myself. So again, let's without further ado, we got all that taken care of. This is our last podcast before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. And Let's throw right to Matt Welter so he can tell you how Dormy House is kind of revolutionizing the employee experience at these clubs. It's not like the Disney experience where they have people come in and they're in these dorms. It's a big party, it's great, young people and everything. This is more sophisticated. This is a little nicer for maybe some established employees, not necessarily college kids or kids fresh out of high school. These are people who want to kind of step away, have a little quiet time, maybe a warm shower and a meal right there in their own little space. So he's doing a lot on, I think it's just like a half acre of dedicated land, and you have these structures that they're putting up, and it could be right next to a cart barn. Everybody's got a little bit of property they're not using, and can't necessarily put a patio out there, a dining area for your members, but you can certainly build space for club employees. So he explains it all a lot more eloquently than I did. So stick around for Matt Welter. Take care, stay well, and have a great day. Hello, and welcome back to the Club and Resort Talks podcast. I'm joined by Matt Welter, founder of Dormy House. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, we appreciate you, Matt. Hey, real quick, if you give us an elevator pitch, what is Dormy House?
Dormy House is a inexpensive way to affordably yet high quality build housing on a small footprint that can house staff at a low cost and bring your headaches of HR, hiring, et cetera, down to zero.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal because a lot of these clubs and resorts are in some pretty high rent districts. And if you want to live within an hour of work, hey, you got to fork it out, right? So please describe your journey from caddie to real estate developer and then founding Dormy House.
Yeah, so everything's in a story. It's all about the story. I grew up playing golf, grew up around caddies. I never caddied as a kid. But what I did was college, studied economics, socialized. I went to Indiana University, graduated a degree in economics from IU, came home, had a job, was following the old picket fence path, and my dad took Scotland. Went on a trip there. I was like, oh my God, I got to live here. I love St. Andrews. So kind of got sick of the job and decided I didn't want to regret something in my early life. So I became a professional caddy at the age of 23. Became, started working at local clubs in Michigan. Got a job down in Florida thanks to the help of one of the clubs that I was working at a place called Old Collier. And he knew that I wanted to live in Scotland. So he connected me with them. They have a large yard of caddy yard of Scottish and English guys. I became very good friends with a lot of them, and they hooked me up with a job at King's Barnes. Ended up caddying at King's Barnes. I caddied for Ian Woom. I've caddied for DAY Ring. I've caddied for Peter Jacobson. I ended up caddying for a friend at a pro event up at Royal Dornoch. I've caddied before. So I did that whole thing, came home, continued to pick members' brains about what I should do with my life. And they all had one thing in common. They were either CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, or they had a job, business, whatever, but they invested in real estate. So I ended up taking my savings, which was 60 grand from doing my work, and bought a house. Quickly realized that owning one rental house was not going to make a profit. So I started kind of fooling around with all things. They got a real estate license, got some partners involved to buy some properties, redevelop some properties, do some ground up. Over time, it just kind of snowballed, and it's a rather successful business. And I took a trip up to became a member at the Dunes Club in New Buffalo, which is by Mike Kaiser. Everybody in the world knows that at this point. And went to Cabot in Nova Scotia. While I was up, it was, I was taken aback by how remote it is. I'd never been to one of these remote rural golf before, and so I started asking all the caddies, all the employees, like, where do you guys live? And they gave me some horrific answers, like you said. I mean, they were driving from an hour away, or they're living some stranger's house, or in the back of their car, or living in a garage and paying like $1,500 a month just to rent a garage. And so I came home after that, and with Mike and the Kaisers in mind, put pen to paper, hired an architect, came up with this plan. Ended up sitting down with Mike at the Dunes Club, just asked him if I could sit down and have lunch with him while he was there, and we started conversing. And he knew me because a little for myself. I'd won the Dunes Club championship a few times, so he knew the name, and he got to know me. And we were talking about affordable housing, and he said, like, what are you doing? What is this? And I said, well, I don't know if you know this, Mike, but I've talked to your sons, and I actually have a specific product in mind that I've come up with based off of my history of building and now construction and property management. So I kind of know what it takes to build a quality building and maintain a quality building while also watching the costs and the land usage, which very important, because you got while you have a bunch of land, there's limited that you want to do with it for staff housing. And he goes, well, we have this staff village. And I said, perfect. Anyways, we ended up talking. We flew out to Oregon. We discussed with the city. They were all about it. We had to annex some land. So Mike was like, let's build these in the staff village. And one thing led to the next. We ended up building 2 apartments, and they got great. Our goal was to build them at $100,000 a bed, and we nailed that first go. And so now they have 62 beds of staff. They had a waiting list of 100 people, so they were able to put 62 people into beds. And it's been really successful. They maintain margin, a very small margin. It's really to keep people kind of on their toes to make things are going right. And it's in the black. So it's been a great project.
That's terrific. I know that, I mean, Bandon is one of the ones we talked about, and housing around Bandon is crazy expensive. There's no smooth roads, right? Everything's some bumps, hiccups. Can you say some of the challenges maybe that you faced early on and how you overcame those?
So I think the big challenge was that Mike really wanted to do these. Development is relatively difficult anywhere. I mean, you can do a project 1 year, takes 3 or 4 years to get there, build it. Want to do a project across the street, the economy's changed, the local government's changed, priorities have changed for yourself, your community, whatever. So it's all difficult, but I think that the number difficult thing was really getting the whole team to agree to do these because there was a big fear of recession at the time. We're talking late 20, early 2021, and there was a fear of a recession, and really the most difficult thing project, which was actually a great difficulty to have, was just really convincing. And this is what I learned about this project and for other resorts is that not necessarily about the cost of the project, which we keep very minimal. It's actually what it does to your organization and convincing them that yes, it's going to cost some money, but the streamlining and the happiness of keeping quality employees in HR and management, pro shop, uh, restaurants, all that, their biggest hurdle is housing. It's not getting you and me to come golf there. It's keeping good employees, attracting employees, and so getting over that hurdle of the fear of a recession versus um, the need and the desire and the fact that Mike is and that group overall is such a great people that they think about their employees so much that getting over was a big challenge, and we got over it. And then um, getting to the end line was a little bit of a challenge just the location, but all in all it was really a great learning experience and a great project. For I've built other projects, nothing that was of this ilk, and really trying to build quality while watching costs like a hawk, and we nailed it.
Well, that was my next question. Exactly. So I'm sure Mike and his sons don't want their employees living in slumlord, right? You don't want to be a slumlord. How do you balance that affordability with quality?
So the main thing that I think that the world is coming to grips with, but that I noticed many years ago before we had this housing crunch that we're all feeling um, in our communities and worldwide, is going back to living in a smaller space. So by creating a smaller space, having lived the life, I know that these want to go out to Bandon or Scotland and what they want to do is they want to work. They want to have a nice job that pays a good, especially as a caddie. You come home with this cash, and it's like, oh, sweet, cool, cool. Oh, people, you're not holding house parties. What you want is you want a great work life balance. You want somewhere that is provide you with opportunity, and you're going to make friends. You're going to go out. Maybe you're going to explore, or maybe you're indoor. Maybe you're going to the bar all the time. But at the end of the day, what you want to be felt like a human being who's respected, have a nice, clean place to live. It doesn't have to be huge because these are people coming to the country. They're bringing a little with them. Um, and they just want to have a place that they can, especially now, lay down, cook themselves a meal, have a nice warm shower, and get on their computer or their TV or their phone. It's not like the trappings of, you know, I would love to have Tiger Woods' house. That'd be great, but I can't afford it. So what employees are looking for is a nice, clean, solid place that they can lay down and rest and go out and live their life. So there is that we focus on the quality of the envelope of the building, as well as the durability of the fixtures, the flooring, the paint. You can pay an extra $30 for a higher quality toilet. Take those costs and just build it a little bit smaller. And we focused on sound quality transfer, so little to no sound transfer, and just making quality but small.
So now, Bandon is a unique property, obviously, because they have land. What about some of these other clubs, like say in Los Angeles or the Palm Deep Beaches, Naples? I mean, where real estate's really expensive, but these clubs want their employees to be able to live relatively close. How are you dealing with clubs in situations like that?
So I've thought about this a lot because I haven't actually branched out into that realm yet. But my parents belong to a place down in Florida called Longboat Key. Beautiful little resort. They live 10 minutes away, but they're employees of the resort. Longboat Key Club, the average house price is like $2 million, so they're driving from inland, which seems fine. It seems like, oh, 30, 40 minutes, except for that there's a bridge and there's all this other stuff that just makes it hard. And then what ends up happening is then the resort, the members are fine, they're happy, but the people in the resort are stressed. They can't hire good people. They're losing good people because of the drive and all that stuff. What I tell them, or what I would tell them, is that because they have very valuable land, and that's the hard part, is getting like a Vail or a longboat or an LA Country Club to be like, look, we got this, but it's so valuable. The thing is if you just take, our buildings only require 1/2 of an acre for 2 buildings. I mean, so a 1/4 acre for each building. 2 buildings can sit on basically a half an acre, 3/4 to an acre to do all the site prep and everything, but you can clear that back out. But what you're going to have is you're going to have a permanent building, which is advantageous. And typically there is some area of any piece of property that is just unused, abused, and there's no other use for it. Even for somebody who's coming in and is like, oh, I've got $10 million. Do you really want to build to the cart barn at the resort? So find a little piece of property, build this, and what you're giving up in some sort of value of land and the opportunity cost, which is the opportunity to provide your employees and yourself with less of a headache, and keep valuable employment, find better employees, let them come in, stay there for 2, and then branch back out once they've really grown into their role, decide if this is where they want to be. Then it's worth the drive rather than having constant turnover.
That sounds a little bit like the Disney model, right? So Disney's bringing these people from all over the world,
Yep.
really, and they're staying in dorms, kind of no frills, but they're there. You can't afford to live in Orlando or out in California, Disneyland area, but Anaheim, I suppose that is. But so have you taken some stuff? Have any signs from Walt and his buddies?
So actually, before I came up with this idea, I had no idea that other places were doing this. And what I took from my experience and just the human side of it, and it was kind of interesting because there are places, I'd almost call them barracks type housing, where it's like 4 people, 2 rooms. Sometimes there's a hallway bathroom. These were designed more for, I mean, they could become anywhere, but I was designing them from the aspect of me as a human being who worked in the industry, wanting to have some privacy. So there's a to do some of everything. Mine is kind of, the Dormy House is more focused on being human, treating employees like humans, and not like, if you have college students coming in, throw them in the barracks. They're used to dorms. Throw them in a dorm type style. These are more cost efficient for your more full-time employees, and it's getting them more full-time. I think that Walt and Co. Have done a great job as I've learned about it. But I think that one of the things that separates us is that it is a one and done or 5 and done type project. And it takes up a very small amount of property to build this, and you can house 31, 32 people in it very quickly with that human element to it, which I think is a key component of attracting and keeping qualities.
So our friends at the club at Old Cypress or any of these high-end courses in Arizona, they want to get a hold of you. What's the best way to get a hold of you? Website, email?
Yeah. So my site is Dormy development.com. And on the website, we have kind of a rundown of the projects. Um, how it's done, timeline, our highest. Basically, I'll be honest with everybody out there. It's negotiating starting point for our fee. We'll gladly go lower, and I'm, negotiating against myself. But on there, because it is, I'm really reaching out just to high level uh, owners, employees. My cell phone number is right on the website. My direct is right on the website. You can click the at Dormy Development and it comes to me. Everything comes to me. I'm a one-man show currently. Now I have another business in town that I have employees, and they manage properties, day-to-day operations. We're a relatively small but largish operation. Dormy Development is just me, and that's how I sit down. And that is why you will always only have direct contact to me.
Well, that's terrific. I'll get you out on this one, Matt.
Yes.
I want you to take your crystal ball out. I always ask this question. What are you looking at, right? 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road with Dormy House. What does Dormy House project out to be?
What I'm currently working on, I'm actually working on 3 projects in Bandon, not to do with the resort directly. Me and the resort owner have partnered on doing some in-town developments for mixed use, which would include some Dormy House apartments, as well as single-family homes at X amount of price, which is a whole other thing because we are making a very small profit. So we got 2 neighborhoods that are currently in development, as well as one kind of secretish project that I can't talk about. But what I would love to see Dormy Development do is get in with more of these rural kind of I'm thinking of the term that Mike uses, but these places that you go to that are destination golf, but more on the private side, private clubs, because I have an affinity for the Kaiser family, and I'm working with them on their public golf courses. But on the private side, they're not really a competitor. And so I would love to work with more of these types of places in high-end development locations where the expensive, as well as I want to work with communities that have a need not for a high rise, but for apartment beds and affordable, attainable workforce type housing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Matt, thank you very much for joining us on this episode, and please keep us posted.
Rob, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time, and would love to stay in touch. All right.